what is the state of marine biodiversity right now as we talk? How bad is it? If it is indeed bad, like you said, you can't wait more than 10 days. I mean, that's how bad it is. That's a priority. Ano po ang condition ng marine biodiversity natin today?
We have lost around 20% of our species, which has taken over 50 million years to evolve in terms of the number of species. But what is the implication of losing species? Meaning to say, there are some species which are very useful, which we didn't realize that they are useful now, but because we don't know what its use is,
we discard it.
Yes, that's why. So, like,
so
for
ignorance.
Example, yes, but at the same time, as I said, people don't know how to use it properly, because, of course, as Sheila said, people don't understand its usefulness, or people understand it for food, for example, but how much do they use it in terms of eating for today? But di ba yung sa mga fishers teaches...
So sustainability.
Yes.
But fish basically is there. We're on top of the food chain. And fish basically was put there, to my understanding, in my... Well, as I grew up and up to today, to feed human beings. Mali ang thinking na yan. It's not there just for us. It's there for many other reasons. Kasi biodiversity nga. But basically, fish is basically for human consumption. Yun ang tingin natin dyan, di ba? There's plenty of fish in the sea. Di maraming pagkain para sa lahat ng tao. Parang ganun lumarating sa atin.
Yun naman ang natutunan natin ngayon sa idea ng biodiversity. Because it lets us appreciate the connectedness of life.
Yes, because of all the other living organisms in the water that affect not just the fish, everything else around it.
Of course, we can use it, but we also see how our use affects the other uses.
Are we consuming too much of the resources of the marine biodiversity and or fish per se, not the other coral and whatnot? Are we right now, because it's in this? Are we doing it with sustainability? The answer, I guess, is no.
No.
Why? Dapat naman, hindi mo pwede sabihin sa Pilipino, huwag ka mangingisda dyan kasi kawawa yung biodiversity, huwag ka mangingisda dyan. Hindi pwede yun. Kakainin talaga ng Pilipino yan.
I think that's why actually the issue, for example, about reproductive health strikes to the...
We're gonna call Secretary Luis Troy here. Hindi pwede yun.
Strikes... Yeah,
he's a man of the rope. He's the wrong guy to talk about it, but go ahead.
Yeah, but basically, it's managing our economic growth, our social growth, but our growth of our population also, we have to understand what's a good growth mode.
So right now, with our population problem, with the coastal waters we have, what God has given us, a natural resource, our current consumption of seafood is not sustainable at the present rate. Is that what you're saying? Sumusobra tayo kumakain ng... I mean, we're eating much too much of the seafood. Is that the right statement to make?
Not also only eating too much, but also the way we eat. It's not only the quantity, but how we use resources. It's not only being used for food. We are converting many of the habitat for food into other uses, like for example, we're converting it into roads, into other...
Marine biodiversity?
Yung mga, for example, mangrove areas are converted into different, let's say, fish ponds, for example.
Yeah, I saw that. Or slash and burn. Sa mangrove, ginagawa nila, pinuputol nila, sinusunog nila, ginagawang uling, tas binibenta. Di ba, ng mga slash and burn. But yun naman, they're idiots. These people are uneducated. They see nothing else. It's unguarded. It's a marine. It's actually marine reserve. Mangroves are supposed to be marine reserves for fish that come on shore to give birth to more fish, di ba, basically. And we are ruining that opportunity by burning the mangroves. Correct me if I'm wrong. That's what I've noticed in the provinces.
Or we are reclaiming land.
Land reclamation. Mali rin yun, ano?
There are some areas which might be useful, but in general, we have to have a more rational way of converting our foreshore areas. because these are the important habitats for the diverse life that we are talking about.
How do we make people understand, or leaders, Doktora? To begin with, nag-umpisa pa lang tayo, the subject's already getting relatively heavy and deep in the sense that the use, the manipulation of the shores and the marine areas are being misused, misguided management for alternative uses, basically for roads, and you're saying. But why is it that's the situation? Bobo ba mga leaders natin? Di nila naintindihan in the Department of Energy and Natural Resources, because that's where it falls? Is it ignorance? Do we plead ignorance? Or is this a new, hindi naman new ito, biodiversity, marine biodiversity isn't new.
Well, as you said, it's not a new topic, and I would disagree that our leaders are ignorant. It's maybe they're more engrossed in, things that they think are more of a priority.
But what else can be priority? It's a staple food of Filipinos. Next to rice, it's fish.
Yeah.
Fish and rice is basically our food.
Yeah, so they should really be made more aware that there are people who do this kind of work, who do the studies, do the researches, and have not all but some of the answers to manage our biodiversity. Take, for example, the academe. They have to link more with academic institutes, like, for example, the UP Marine Science Institute, and the academy is spread over the archipelago. You have people in the Visayas.
We have a rich marine archipelago, di ba?
Yeah.
Dami nating coastal shores.
There's, as you said, a lot of talent.
Yeah, there's a lot of talent. There's a lot
Information
of experts in the Philippines. There's a lot of people who are networked through the PAMs.
Then how did we reach this stage of marine biodiversity under threat?
Well,
Kung marami tayong know-how dito, how did we reach that stage? And you're saying we shouldn't wait 10
Yeah.
days, di ba?
yeah, the rate of exploitation actually in the country, it's also linked to population, to lack of information, lack of knowledge on how to manage this, and maybe also in terms of compliance to environment requirements of the industries. So it's a mix of all of this. And I don't think there's one sector or one area to blame, but it's all of us. That's why the management for all of this is also to take off from each of and every one of us. Like, you can do something personally, you can do something with your community, you can do something with the business sector can actually participate in biodiversity conservation. And there has to be some interest, or a lot of interest, from everybody.
Is government doing, is it doing its job? I know media is not promoting it, but I'll tell you, here in GNN, we have a lot of what we call vignettes that promote marine biodiversity. We show it on TV a lot, the beauty of marine biodiversity and whatnot, but whether that gets through and it is heard or it's heeded, the advice that we should be more sustainable and more careful, I think, is another matter. Is government currently doing its job when it comes to marine biodiversity in the Philippines? Are we doing our job?
It's trying to do its job, but it's not enough because there is...
Anong kinukulang? Saan po tayo kinukulang dapat? For example, fish pens, fish cages. Yan ang pinaka-popular ngayon. They can't be inside, let's see, they can't be inland because, or right in front of the shores lang, on the sea, on the beach side, because, well, other than tourism, never mind the tourism, but more of the low tides. Pag nag-low tide yan, mamamatay yung mga isda niya kasi they need constant water supply, di ba? That is constantly moving. So ideally, it's out in the sea. But what happens is we have fenced the sea. Laguna, di ba, is the perfect example. There's no movement anymore. Plus that janitor fish, no? that big Pac-Man fish that's there, that's eating up all the other fish. But how is that ruining our environment? Because talagang it's all over the place now. Masama ba yun? Ikaw ang mayor, lalapitan ka ng businessman. Tapos sabihin niya sa'yo, alam mo, boss, gagawa lang naman tayong pagkain para ibenta natin. Kikita naman City Hall, may tax ka. Kikita yung mga tao, bibigyan ng trabaho. Paglabas ng isla, may makakain ng taong Pilipino. So isipin mo, maganda naman ginagawa ng fisherman or negosyante. Pero pag tinabi-tabi mo na yung mga fish cage, pwede ba yun? Masama ba yun? Are fish cages a wrong direction?
There are limits to the growth capacity Pareho lang
So
sa
control
atin.
your greed. Huwag masyado dadamihan ng isda para